Continuing the series where I break down the campaigns in Left 4 Dead 2, up next we got Dead Center, which is still my personal favorite campaign in Left 4 Dead 2. Usually when I break down a campaign, I have one thing to nail down and focus on, but Dead Center has a little bit of everything. Well, except wall graffiti. It only shows up one time in Chapter 4, and it also isn't deep or relevant to the story. But aside from that, there's lots of interesting dialogue bits and plenty of small details that can be easily overlooked, which is the exact purpose for this video. If I miss anything, be sure to let me know, but without wasting any more time, let's get started. Chapter 1 of Dead Center starts with the crew making it to the roof of the hotel just in time to watch the helicopter fly away. This is where we get a ton of different dialogue bits between the survivors. Keep in mind that Dead Center is the introduction campaign for Left 4 Dead 2, so this campaign had to establish its characters and their backstories, and Chapter 1 of Dead Center gives us all of that and more. Before we move on, I'm going to quickly go over some of my favorite dialogue bits from this intro, because just like the passing, a lot of the dialogue here is very funny. Just to list off a few.
God damn it, we just missed it.
Hey now, no need for cussing.
You're serious, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm serious.
Goddamn whirlybird left without us.
Okay, 1, stop calling it a whirlybird. It's a helicopter. 2, I don't like being in buildings that are on fire.
Looked like the whirlybird was heading to the mall across town. And I will call it what I like, Fancy Suit.
Helicopter! It is a helicopter! You call that thing a whirlybird one more time, I'll beat you so bad, your sister's gonna wish she never gave birth to you.
Now, if I'm being honest, the first 2 minutes of Dead Center are very confusing, simply because it's very hard to piece together what happened before the survivors arrived on the rooftop. For example, when you grab your gear and walk down the stairs and open the door, the survivors usually say something along these lines.
Holy shit, zombies. I saw the news reports. Hell, I produced some, but wow.
This is confusing because, what, did you guys not walk past these same zombies on the way to the roof? Did they magically spawn here after the helicopter left? What adds to the confusion is this important question. When and where did the Left 4 Dead 2 survivors meet each other? Because according to the dialogue in Chapter 1, they did not know each other for very long. Now what do I mean by this exactly? You want to know a small detail that took me a few years to catch on to? In Chapter 1 of Dead Center, when the survivors are referring to each other, they don't use each other's names.
Hey, football man. Is this a relative of yours?
Mr. Gambling Man, yeah, you in the suit.
Hey, in the suit. Stop shooting me.
And eventually you reach the elevator, where the survivors properly introduce each other and the voice lines you just heard are never used again. So with that in mind, let me ask again. When did the Left 4 Dead 2 survivors meet each other? Did they all meet up while climbing the stairs to the roof? That seems to be the most realistic outcome considering they don't even know each other's names, but again, I don't know for sure. If you guys have anything to add, be sure to let me know because I think it's a super interesting rabbit hole. Now, moving on. In Chapter 1 of Dead Center, immediately after leaving the safe room, if you enter a room on the right, you'll find a room with a map, pointing out the locations of military outposts. This is where the survivors learn that the military is still active in New Orleans, but if you look behind this exact table, you also find this. And if you're extra lucky, Nick will sometimes say this.
What's this thing in a cage?
So, it's confirmed that Sita has captured at least one special infected. Now, to be fair, a boomer, when compared to the other special infected, would probably be the easiest to catch. But you can give Sita some credit there. Also, while we only have one picture, we can confirm that Sita likely captured multiple boomers, because of the boomer bile, which is a new throwable item added to Left 4 Dead 2, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Boomer puke in a little canister, courtesy of Sita. Now, moving on to the elevator where the survivors give their introductions. This is where we get a look at everyone's backstory and personality, and similar to the passing, you get a ton of different dialogue bits here. Just to list off my favorites.
Holy shit. This some sort of nightmare goddamn zombie apocalypse and shit. Shit. The hell are we gonna do?
Hey, it's okay, man. We're gonna be fine. Tell me, what's your name?
Folks call me Ellis. I run an auto shop with a couple of my buddies. We're also in a band. I play bass.
How about you?
Nick. That's all you need to know.
Everyone just calls me Coach.
And I'm Rochelle. I haven't known you guys long, but, well, it looks like I'm gonna be trusting you with my life. So, hi, and thanks.
And what makes this even more interesting is that the dialogue will change if a survivor dies before they make it to the elevator.
Oh shit, man. I ain't never seen anybody die before.
Guys, what are we gonna do now?
Okay, oh god. This was a mistake.
Now, moving on to Chapter 2. You guys remember what I said earlier about Chapter 1 having unique dialogue because the survivors didn't know each other's names? Well, this also applies to the Special Infected. After seeing a Special Infected for the first time, the survivors, instead of saying their usual names, will instead say stuff like this.
It's that mean one that pounces on you.
Watch out for the big fat thing!
You hear that? Some of these things mutated.
And after killing a special infected, Nick will sometimes make a comment about its appearance, and this dialogue is different for each special infected.
So that's a charger, huh? I think he worked out that arm plenty and should move on to back and legs. So that's a spitter, huh? Think she's single? So that's a boomer, huh? You know, it's sad to see an eating disorder get out of control like that. So that's a tank, huh? Jesus, that thing is huge.
Keep in mind that almost all the dialogue you're listening to is unique to Dead Center, and I absolutely love how the main characters are, in a way, learning about the infected at the same time as the player. Before we move on, I want to quickly go over some voice lines from Chapter 1 and 2 that are incredibly rare. The first one is from Nick. After grabbing a pistol or a magnum, Nick will sometimes say this.
I used to steal these from cops back in high school.
Now, this next voice line is not incredibly rare, because I don't even think it's in the game. As I was browsing the game files, I found a voice line for Rochelle that goes exactly like this.
What are you doing? Now the infected are going to swarm me!
I tried to get this voice line in-game, but as far as I can tell, friendly fire with a Boomer Bile is completely impossible. But judging by the existence of this voice line, Boomer Bile friendly fire was likely a feature at some point during the game's development. Also, before we move on, here's one more very funny dialogue bit from Nick. If Ellis gets grabbed by a jockey, sometimes he'll say this.
$10 says he takes him to the right.
Now anyways, moving on to Whitaker's gun store. Whitaker is an interesting character because we never see him and he doesn't make much of an impression. He could be a carrier or a normal survivor, it isn't made clear, but considering the defenses and the literal stash of weapons he's standing on top of, it's safe to assume that Whitaker is going to be completely fine. Now, moving on to the mall. The survivors don't see anything at first, but they hold out hope thinking the evac center must be deeper in the mall. And near the end of Chapter 3, you can find a sign that says CEDA Evacuation Center. But in Chapter 4, it's revealed that the mall is completely abandoned. Now, at the start of Chapter 4, during the elevator ride down to the main lobby, the survivors quickly try and form a plan.
CEDA's not going to save us. Any ideas?
Well, if you're looking for ideas, look no further, because I have a good one. Well, so I just been thinking Jimmy Gibbs stock cars around here somewhere. We just gotta find it, gas it up, and I'll drive that thing to New Orleans my damn self.
I'll agree to the idea, but I'm driving.
Oh, yeah, only if I get killed. Otherwise, you better kill me, because I am driving.
The finale of Dead Center is not exactly a fan favorite amongst the community, but in Versus, I must admit I love this finale. The multiple floors offer depth charge opportunities, and if you're the survivors, it's easy to get picked off and separated if someone goes for a can by themselves. After finding all the gas cans, the survivors pile into the car and drive straight through the mall entrance.
Next stop, New Orleans!
That concludes the story of Dead Center. This campaign was a lot of fun to break down. Dead Center serves as an introduction to Left 4 Dead 2 and its characters, and it's safe to say it knocked it out of the park. Not only is Dead Center fantastic from a level design and gameplay perspective, but once again, like a lot of the campaigns in Left 4 Dead, there's always small details that can be easily missed. But with that said, if I did miss anything, or if you want something to add, be sure to let me know down below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.